In this video, you will learn how to mix your acoustic guitar recording. I will show you step by step everything you need to know from recording to a breakdown of all the plugins, including an amazing trick with a compressor to sort out your low end. So first of all, let's jump into the recording of the acoustic guitar. You'll notice as I'm playing the guitar, the microphone is about 6 inches away and is pointing towards the 15th to sort of the 10th fret. Anywhere in that range, it will change on your guitar, but that's a good starting point. I'm listening to the click track in my ear and I'm trying to make sure that I can get the best quality take possible. This is going to make the mixing process so much easier because you're going to be starting with a much better product. I'm also going to record for far longer than I actually need the take. This is so that I can double the tracks up later in Logic and will give the guitar more clarity and more depth within the mix. Now we've recorded our guitar, we need to actually decide what bits of the take we're going to use. So as you can see, I did a really long take and all I'm going to do is select the best sort of 2 rounds of chords and then I'm going to double it up as well. So I'm going to find another set of 2 rounds of chords and we're going to layer it up. So let me show you what I mean. I've just taken my favourite parts of the acoustic recording and I've layered them up. Then I've panned one side by 30 and the other side by 29. If you don't know why I've done it by 29, it's because when you whack that all the way up, that only takes you to 63 and this one takes you all the way to 64, so it's got to be one less. So now we've got the chords that we want to use and we've got it set up in the session, so we've got it panned left to right. We're now going to look at the plugins. The first one we're going to use is EQ. Now when you're EQing acoustic guitar, you can quite often find it's got quite a boomy sound in the low end, so we're going to give this a listen, have a look on the frequency spectrum, although we're really using our ears. And we're going to see basically what the problems are, sonically speaking. So we can see there where the acoustic guitar is sitting. Now this area below 100 Hertz, in the context of a bigger song, a thicker mix, we'd actually want to get rid of some of this low end because we don't want it to be competing with the bass guitars. So I'm going to do this as if we were doing this as part of a bigger mix because that is most likely what you were doing. So I'm just going to put in a low cut here. But it's going to be nice and soft because I don't want anything too harsh. Like we still want that low end in the mix, just not overwhelming, if that makes sense. So we'll do that about 60 Hertz, but it starts to roll off from just above 100 and we'll give that a listen. So that's just cleared up that low end nicely. We won't do anything else on that plugin for now because the next thing I want to do is use a compressor. Now the goal of this compressor is very similar to the first compressor I put on my vocal chain. If you haven't seen that video, make sure you check it out. I think it's just up there or up there. We're going to attenuate the highest and punchiest sounds in the guitar recording so that later on when we do more compression and more EQ, we're not battling with a massive range of dynamics. We just want to have the nicest, sweetest sounding recording. You do that by adjusting the threshold so it just captures the very loudest parts of the mix that are very, very spiky. We're looking at these bits here, the bits that poke above everything else in the mix. Perfect. Now we've done that, we get to move on to our next plugin, which is going to be another compressor. Now the goal of this compressor is to ride the entire track so that we're feeling that the track is compressed and all sort of one level with still a little bit of dynamic range. However, it's going to be riding it so it's going to just sweeten the sound of the guitar. We're going to achieve this by having a ratio of about 4:1. A fast attack and a slow release because we want it to ride the whole track. We want it to impact quickly and then have a slow release. I do, however, want to hear the first initial strums of the guitar, so I'll slow down the attack slightly. We could probably take that to 1 millisecond. But yeah, we'll listen to it and see what works best. So that's far too much compression on there at the moment. Now, I like this, but here is my secret tip with compression on acoustic guitars. This is what will make or break your mix. On Pro C, you can turn on a sidechain filter, so it will exclude anything below. You see how this looks like an EQ? It won't compress anything on the low end, allowing it to just flow freely. Otherwise, what can happen is you can have a really booming low end that is controlling the compressor, and actually you're not getting much clarity or compression on any of the high end. This is top feature of the plugin, and yeah, is absolutely phenomenal. So watch this. So everything down here is not getting compressed. And because we've EQ'd it earlier, all of that stuff is getting sort of taken out anyway, so we don't want it being included in the compressor as it is. Nice, I like it. Now, we're going to move on to the final EQ of the chain. I'm going to use Pro Q again. So here's where I'm listening specifically for any really harsh tones. I'm also going to listen for anything that I want to be accentuated in the mix. So anything that's nice that I want to bring out. So what I've done there is I've just boosted slightly just above 6K, and that is giving the guitar a lot more clarity so you can hear it more easily. Will this compete with the vocals in the mix? Yes and no. So there's a lot of things you can do in vocal chaining and when you're mixing vocals that will actually get around this problem. For example, you could have the acoustic guitar so it's ducking the vocal. I could do a whole tutorial on that if that is what you guys want, just let me know. But for now, this guitar is sounding absolutely phenomenal and I'm pretty happy. There is one more thing that I want to add to this chain, and that is saturation. Now, saturation basically adds harmonics into the sound, so you're actually hearing a more harmonically dense sound, which is a lot sweeter. And it's, if you whack it up too far, it's just drive and it's just distortion, doesn't sound that great. Like, nobody wants that. But just adding a little bit really sweetens the sound of the guitar and is what everyone mainstream puts on all of their vocals, all of their guitars, all of their instruments, just because it adds that extra thing that you can't get just by playing in. It's important to remember as well, whenever you're mixing a song, it's incremental differences. So if you can make like something sound 1% better, and you can do that across the entire mix, then the whole mix is going to be like 100 times better. So I like the way that sounds. We're just going to chuck that on the other side as well. There is one more thing I'm going to add, and that is reverb. Just to, put it in a bit of a larger space. I've actually been doing quite a lot recently with reverb in terms of giving it more pre-delay, because I like that slapback effect. So if I just put it back by sort of 40, and we'll make the time a little bit slower, sort of 0.8 seconds. It's sort of the sound of a normal room. Most untreated rooms are about 0.6 to 0.8 in terms of like bedrooms and things. So if that's where you're recording, then this is probably going to sound a bit like your bedroom. So if I whack it up too loud, it's going to sound like this. And nobody likes that. So we're going to turn it down. And we'll just find a level that we like. Now again, to sweeten up the reverb, we can add some saturation. I'm happy with just the stock saturation on that. And I'm also going to turn up the high end slightly, just so you get more clarity. And just like that, you have a full acoustic guitar recording and mix. I hope you found this helpful, and if you have, like the video and subscribe. Bye!